AS Level Biology 9700, Paper 1, Variant 1, May June 2025. And this is the third video on this paper. And in this video, we are going to discuss from question number 27 to 40. So question number 27 is the 3 samples of liquid were taken from different locations in a plant and tested to measure the concentrations of what solutes. The results are. So they have given us 3 samples. And in these 3 samples, there are 4 concentrations of solutes: sucrose, nitrate ions, amino acids, and magnesium ions. So we have to find out which samples have been taken from phloem sieve tube elements. You know, sieve tube elements, um, um, elements are the specialized cells which make up the phloem tissues in the plants, and their primary function is to transport sucrose and amino acids and from the leaves to the other parts of the plants, such as the roots, fruits, or storage organs. So this process is called as translocation. So during translocation, sucrose and amino acid are transported, whereas the nitrate ions and magnesium ions, they are uh, primarily transported by the xylem vessels with water, because xylem vessels transport the water and mineral ions. So they will be transported by xylem, not with the phloem. So first sample in which they have given us the highest concentration of sucrose and amino acids as well, whereas the nitrate ions and magnesium ions are in lower concentration. So first sample uh, has been taken from the phloem. The second sample, you can see it shows that the highest concentration of nitrate ions and amino acids. It means this has not been taken from the phloem sieve tube elements. And the third sample also shows the highest concentration of sucrose and amino acids. It means it has been also taken from the phloem sieve tube elements. So according to this, the sample number 1 and 3 has been taken from phloem sieve tube elements. So C is the correct statement. A, B, and D are not the correct options. So C is the correct answer. Now we will move towards the next question, and next question number 28 is there. And question number 28 is, a heated band was wrapped uh, around the stem of a plant at a height of 1 meter above the ground and left for 10 minutes. Heated band. So heated band was wrapped around the stem. So 1 meter above the ground and left for 10 minutes. How will heating a small section of the stem to 60 degrees centigrade? 60 degrees centigrade, you know, this is very high temperature at which the enzymes are denatured, affect the transport of phloem sap and xylem sap between the roots and leaves. So here I would like to discuss that the in the previous MCQ I have told you that the phloem sap is translocated by an active process in the living cells, specifically the companion cells, and involves enzymes. So the process of translocation enzyme involves the enzymes. So these enzymes are responsible for actively loading sugars into the phloem sieve tubes. Enzymes are involved. So enzymes are responsible for actively loading sugars into the phloem sieve tubes. So heating the stem to a high temperature, heating high temperature, which is 60 degrees centigrade. So it will lead to denature. denaturation of enzymes, due to which the translocation will not take place. The transport of phloem sap will stop. So it means the transport of phloem, and whereas the second transport of xylem is a passive process. It relies on the physical properties of water, and you know the water. There are forces which are involved in the movement of the water, in the transportation of the water, and those are the forces of cohesion and adhesion. So there is no need uh, for enzymes over here because it is a very passive process. So this way, I would like to say uh, these two, A and B, are not the correct option. C and D can be the correct, but in C, you can see transport of xylem sap will take place. So C is the correct option because in D, they have both cross star over there. So this is not the correct option. Only C is the correct option because only the enzymes are denatured at high temperature, due to which translocation will not take place. Next, question number 29 is there, and question number 29 is, the diagram shows the structure of an amphibian heart and the movement of blood through it. So here you can see the amphibian heart. Which statements about differences between the amphibian heart and a human heart are correct? So we have to compare the amphibian heart and the human heart. So here you can see the hearts have a different number of ventricles. The heart has a different number of ventricle. You can see in human heart, we have two ventricles. We have two ventricles, whereas you can see a single ventricle over there. It means the first statement is correct. The hearts have a different number of atrioventricular walls. There are two atrioventricular walls in human heart and the same over here. So this statement will not be considered as correct. The third statement, a septum is absent in the amphibian heart and a septum is present in the human heart. Yes, a septum is present in, but here there is no septum. Septum is atrioventricular wall. So which separates the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood with one another. It is between the right and left side of the heart. So this is the correct statement. According to this C is the correct option. A, B, and D. And septum, this is the wall which is in between the left and right side of the heart, which keeps separate the oxygenated and deoxygenated bloods separate from each other. Now we are moving towards the question number 30, and question number 30 is, a mutation in one of the genes that codes for hemoglobin changes the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. This mutation lowers the partial pressure of oxygen at which hemoglobin is 50% saturated with oxygen, 50% saturation, which shows the effect of mutation on the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen and the change in the position of the oxygen dissociation curve for hemoglobin. First of all, I would like to tell you what is oxygen dissociation curve. So the oxygen dissociation actually refers to the process where hemoglobin in red blood cell release oxygen into the surrounding tissues. You know, when we inhale oxygen, oxygen make bond with hemoglobin. It is changed into oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen is dissociated from the hemoglobin cells when it is reached into the surrounding tissues. You know, at that place when where there is less concentration of oxygen. So at that time, the oxygen will be dissociate from the hemoglobin. So here you know high carbon dioxide reduces blood pH, which in turns lower hemoglobin affinity. So in this way, uh, we have to find out which option is correct. The first is the effect of the mutation on the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. The on the hemoglobin affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen and the change in the position of the dissociation curve for the hemoglobin. So first of all, I would like to say the first option. This question actually, I would like to explain this again. This question states that a mutation causes hemoglobin to be 50% saturated with oxygen at a lower partial pressure of oxygen compared to normal. So this means that the hemoglobin is binding to oxygen more readily or at a lower oxygen concentration. So this directly indicates a higher affinity of oxygen, hemoglobin for oxygen. So higher affinity means that hemoglobin holds onto oxygen more tightly and requires a lower partial pressure of oxygen to reach a given saturation level. So on the other hand, I would like to say that on the oxygen dissociation curve, the partial pressure of oxygen at which hemoglobin is 50% is a key indicator. A lower partial pressure means a high affinity. If there is low partial pressure of oxygen, it means there will be the higher affinity. So due to higher affinity, it will shift our oxygen dissociation curve to the left. Already told you what is dissociation curve. So simple, a normal dissociation curve, you know, it is you know, HB, hemoglobin, saturation, and partial pressure of oxygen. So, you know, a simple curve is just like this, S-shaped curve, you know. So, when there is the effect of affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen will be higher in this case. When it will be higher, so it will move towards the left. It will move towards the left. So according to this, A is the correct option. B, again, it can be, but according to this, if there is, it will not shift towards the right. It will shift towards the right because when their affinity is high, so it will shift towards that because it will be readily bind with the hemoglobin. So it means their affinity will be increased. So this curve will move towards the left, not shift to the right. So A is the correct option. Which process are responsible for the Bohr shift? So this is question number 31. And in question number 31, first of all, what is Bohr shift? Bohr shift is a physiological phenomena where the oxygen dissociation curve shifts to the right in response to increased carbon dioxide concentration level in the blood. So high concentration of carbon dioxide will reduces blood pH, which in turn lowers hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen. When there is high concentration of carbon dioxide, the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen will be reduced. So in that case, the curve will be shift towards the right. So it will help in the unloading of oxygen with the hemoglobin, because where there is highest concentration of oxygen, highest concentration of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide reacts with hemoglobin to form carbamine hemoglobin. According to this, when carbon dioxide reacts with hemoglobin, so formation of carbamino hemoglobin will take place, but it will not responsible for the Bohr shift. It will help, it will only affect its pH. It will affect only its pH. So formation of this will only affect its pH. The primary mechanism of the Bohr effect is the binding of hydrogen ions to hemoglobin. So it will only affect pH. So according to this statement is not correct. Second statement is carbon dioxide reacts with water. So carbon dioxide plus water, they will react together and they will form the carbonic acid, H2CO3. This is the formula of carbonic acid. So when the formation of this reaction is very rapid, and is the first step in the chain of events that lead to the Bohr shift. So it is the correct answer. Third statement is hemoglobinic acid is formed from the dissociation of carbonic acid. Well, the carbonic acid formed in this step is unstable. It is unstable. So we will this. It is unstable. So it will dissociate into hydrogen ions and by a bicarbonate. So it will dissociate. So the hydrogen ion then binds to hemoglobin. So it will bind with hemoglobin. So it will form hemoglobinic acid. It will be HHB. So the binding of this hydrogen ions to the hemoglobin molecule causes a change in its shape, which reduces its affinity for oxygen. And as a result, oxygen is released more easily to the tissues. Therefore, the main process are responsible are statement number 2 and statement number 3. So according to these statements, the C is the correct option. A, B, and D are not the correct options. Now I would like to move towards the next question. A student viewed a drop of human blood with a microscope and described a cell as having a very large diameter and a U-shaped nucleus that occupies half the volume of the cell. Which type of cell was the student viewed? You know, the monocyte, first of all, the monocytes, the monocytes are, they are the leukocytes, and they have, would like to draw monocyte, they have U-shaped nucleus. Then neutrophils, they have lobed, many lobed structure. So the third, red blood cell, they don't have no nucleus. And in lymphocytes, they are lymphocytes. D, they are A, B, and they are C. So according to this, A is the correct answer. According to these shapes, these are the factual answer, that is A. Now I would like to move towards the next question. And next question is, how many times must an oxygen molecule pass through a cell surface membrane to get from the air in the alveolus to the hemoglobin in a red blood cell? In a red blood cell. So I would like to draw this to find out how many how many are produced. Um, Assumes there are no pores between the cells, the oxygen molecule must pass through A, 2, B, 3, C, 4, D, 5. Let me draw all this, an alveolus. I would like to draw an alveolus. This is an alveolus. Air, oxygen. And then so I'm drawing the different layers. And then so layer of this is the layer of fluid. Then epithelial cells. This one is basement membrane. Endothelial cells. See. Due to less space, I have written on the other side. So inside this, you can see a red blood cell. And there is this space is plasma. So according to this drawing, I would like to write a sequence that is alveolar air, and it will enter into the alveolar epithelial cell membrane. And then fluid layer, and then basement membrane, a fluid layer and basement membrane. And then capillary, endothelial cell membrane, to blood plasma, to blood plasma, and then blood plasma to red blood cell membrane. Red blood cell membrane to hemoglobin. So this is the traveling of the air or oxygen molecule through a cell surface membrane to get from the air in the alveolus to the hemoglobin in the red blood cell. So in the red blood cell, and you can see, according to this, it has to pass through the 5 years because it is a, you can say, uh, a long route. So it has to pass through so many different membranes. I have drawn all this. You can come to know very easily. You can understand very easily. So answer is T. Now we will move towards the next question, and next question is 34. And in question number 34, asthma can affect, asthma, respiratory disease, affect the children and the adults as well. So the air passages become narrower, severely restricting the flow of air into the lungs. Salbutamol is a drug that widens the air passages to relieve the symptoms of asthma. So I would like to discuss the salbutamol. How does the salbutamol relieve the symptoms of asthma? They have given us the 4 statements. First of all, I would like to discuss how this drug causes the smooth muscles. So salbutamol is a type of medicine. Uh, it is actually this bronchodilator because it widens the air passages. So it is called as bronchodilator. So it relieves the symptoms by directly acting on the smooth muscles that line the bronchi and bronch. So bronchodilator, It affects the smooth muscles, and these smooth muscles lie directly on the smooth muscle that line bronchi and bronchioles. So, salbutamol works by binding to beta 2 adrenogenic receptors on the smooth muscle cells of the airways. So, when it binds with the receptors on the smooth muscle cells, so it will activate a signaling pathway that leads to the relaxation of these muscles. So, wider airways will take place when the smooth muscles relax. So, it will bronchodilator, it will binds with smooth muscles, relax them. So the bronchi and bronchioles will widen. So this process is bronchodilation. So this widening decreases the resistance to airflow, allowing the greater volume the air pass in out of the lungs with each breath. So this directly alleviates symptoms like wheezing, chest tightness, and shortness of the breath. So the primary mechanism of this salbutamol is the relieving asthma symptoms to the relax the smooth muscles in the bronchi and bronchioles. So according to this, uh, we will discuss the four. For it decreases mucus secretions in the terminal bronchioles. No, it decreases the surface area of the alveoli. If it will decrease the surface area, so actually it will it will dilate the smooth muscles. So causes recoil of elastic tissues in the bronchioles, no. So it relaxes smooth muscles in the bronchi and bronchioles. And I have explained how do it takes place. So D is the correct option. Next, question number 36. The photomicrograph show the transverse section of the part of the trachea, which latter represents a tissue that can contract and relax to the adjust the diameter of the airways. So here you can see A is the ciliated epithelial lining, inner ciliated lining, and B is the goblet cells. C is the hyaline cartilage. And fourth, smooth muscles. Layer of. So contract and relax to adjust the diameter of the airways. In the MCQ number 34, we have discussed in detail that how the smooth muscles are helpful in the dilation. So of the airways, and they will helpful in the passage of air. So D is the correct option, which are the smooth muscles. Question number 36, and question number 36 is, which statement about an infectious disease may be correct? So these statements are, it can be caused by pertussis, yes, infection caused by the bacteria. or it can be transmitted by an insect vector. Yes. It can be transmitted from mother to child. Yes, it can be so. Uh, the first statement are that, the protists are the single-celled eukaryotic organisms. So many of them are parasitic and cause infectious diseases in humans and other animals. For example, Plasmodium causes malaria. And so in this way, the first one is correct. If we talk about the second statement, it can be transmitted by insect vector. So vector, is an organism or pathogen which transfer the or microbes from one person to the other. So these insect vectors can be many, as for example, for in case of malaria, the mosquitoes act as a vector. So third statement is also you can so vertical transmission, that the pathogens can be transmitted from a mother to her child during pregnancy across the placenta during childbirth or through breastfeeding as well. So we can give our example of the HIV virus, which is can be transferred from the mother to the child. So these three statements are correct according to they are A is the correct option, B, C, and D are not the correct option. Now we move towards the question number 37. Which statements explain why cholera has not been eradicated by vaccination? Cholera is a disease. So there is a limited availability of an affordable vaccine. So here I would like to say that limited availability. Yes, it can be the correct statement. Then the second statement, major, problem, that is the availability of this. And then the second is protection takes several weeks to develop after vaccination. So this delayed onset of immunity is a significant issue. So in the midset of outbreak, people need immediate protection, but the vaccine does not provide it right away. So it can also be the correct. The third one is the under reporting of cholera in the community. Yes, it also happens. Accurate data is crucial for tracking disease spread and targeting vaccination efforts. So when cases go unreported, public health officials lack a clear picture of where outbreaks are occurring. So this is also the correct statement. Immunity to cholera decreases to after 2 years. So this is a key biological reason why eradication is so difficult. So it is also the fact. So A is the correct option. B, C, and D are not the correct options. Next question number 38 is antibiotic resistance is a serious threat to global health. Antibiotic resistance, antibiotic resistance is a major problem which can take place, and it happens which statement step that can be taken to reduce the impact with antibiotic prescribed by a doctor should be shared with family members to protect them, reduce the impact of by sharing the prescription is not the key role in the, you can say, antibiotic resistance can be reduced. So this is not the correct statement. Then Antibiotics should only be used to treat infectious diseases caused by viral diseases are not controlled by antibiotics, can only be used for bacteria. So this statement again not correct. Farmers should give antibiotics to healthy animals to prevent infections occurring. No, if you are giving the antibiotics to the healthy animals, so it will create resistance in their body. So it is not a correct option. Vaccination programs should be used to reduce the spread of bacterial diseases. Yes, it is the correct option. That is, the vaccination programs should be used. The vaccination should be, this is the only you can solution. That is, vaccination programs should be run. In this way, we can reduce the spread of bacterial diseases. So D is the correct option. Now the question number 39. Tetanus is an infectious disease by a type of bacterium. This bacterium produces a protein that is toxin which causes illness. So scientists have produced a vaccine for tetanus which contains a harmless form of the toxin called a toxoid. So vaccine contain a harmless form of toxin which is toxoid. So toxoid is produced by mixing the toxin with the chemical formaldehyde. This chemical binds to the toxin, making it harmless. So which statement about the tetanus is correct? So first of all, after vaccination, the toxide in the vaccine will be ingested by neutrophils and displayed in their cell surface membranes. So neutrophils are a type of white blood cells involved in the immediate inflammatory response to infection, but they are not the primary cells responsible for presenting antigens to stimulate a long-term adaptive immune response. So this role is primarily performed by specialized cells like macrophage and dendrite cells. So according to this statement, we can say it can be considered as correct. So first of all, I think I should explain the toxide protection and tetanus vaccine meaning is a toxide vaccine. It means it uses a modified version of the toxin produced by the uh, bacteria. So this toxin called uh, tetanospamin is responsible for the disease symptoms such as the muscle spasm and paralysis. And then you can see toxide production to create the vaccine. The tetanus toxin is treated with a chemical such as formaldehyde, so which alters its structure. So this process takes the toxin harmless. And then when the tetanus vaccine containing the toxide is injected, it acts as an antigen. So this means it's a substance that immune system recognize as foreign. In responsible, the body's beta cell are activated to produce specific antibodies that can bind to the toxide. So the long-term protection uh, will help in this way. So if the person is later exposed to the actual tetanus toxin, the existing antibodies will quickly bind to the toxin, neutralizing it before it causes disease. So this process creates immunological memory. And then I would like to say the options A will be ingested by neutrophils and displayed in the cell surface membrane. So according to this, the tetanus vaccine containing the toxide does not contain antigens because it does not contain any cells of the pathogen. So this statement is incorrect that an antigen is a substance that triggers an immune response, while the vaccine does not contain the whole life bacterium. So the toxide itself is the antigen. So according to this is not the correct. So the toxide protein in the vaccine stimulates the production of antibodies which remain in the blood to provide long-term immunity. No, it will not work in this way, as I have already discussed this. When formaldehyde to toxin, it causes the toxin to completely change shape. So it causes the toxin to completely shape. It will not happen. It will alter the toxin structure. The change is not a complete change in shape. It will be alteration, not a complete shape in the structure. So according to this, A is the correct option. So you know the neutrophils are the types of white blood cells which are involved in the immediate inflammatory response to the infection. So according to this, A will be the correct option. Question number 40. And question number 40 is, what is an effect on the immune system on the immune system of a reduced number of T helper cells? What is the effect on the immune system? So I will discuss one by one the four here. A decrease in the destruction, a decrease in the destruction of infected body cells by T helper cells. First of all, I would like to discuss about the what are T helper cells? Are a central component of the adaptive immune system. They act as managers by helping to coordinate the immune response. So they do this by recognizing antigen present on the surface of the antigen presenting cells and then releasing signaling molecules called cytokines. So then it is not a correct statement. So a decrease in the activation of beta lymphocytes. So beta lymphocytes, when a beta cell encounters its specific antigen, it utilizes it and present it on its surface, and then T helper cells that recognizes the same antigen then binds to the beta cell and releases cytokines. So these cytokines provide the necessary help to fully activate the beta cell, performing it to different into plasma cells and memory body cells. So according to this is the correct statement. Then we come to see increase in the activation of T killer cells. The T helper cells are essential for a robust activation of T killer cells. Therefore, a reduced number of T helper cells would lead to a decrease, not an increase. They will decrease, not an increase. So, according to this, then an increase in the production of plasma cells. Plasma cells are the antibody producing factories. So their production is a direct result of the activation of beta lymphocytes. Since a reduced number of T helper cells will lead to a decrease in beta lymphocyte activation. It could also lead to a decrease, not an increase in the production of plasma cells. So this is again a, not a correct option. And here, you know, the first statement, T helper cells do not directly destroy infected body cells. Their function is to help they assist in activating the T killer cells. So only B is the correct option. All other statements are not correct. So it was all about the part 3 video 3 on paper. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching and wait for the next video.